All right, let's get into position for the chops or the wood choppers. It's called wood choppers because if you were doing it two-handed, which you can, it would be like chopping wood with an axe. Get it? Okay, so what we're gonna do is let's just talk about our body positioning first, and then we'll get into the band. So feet about shoulder width apart. You wanna always have that slight bend in your knee, so not locked out, slight bend. You wanna have a neutral spine, and a neutral spine, again, is when you do have a slight curve in your lumbar, but we're not like that, and we're not with our butt tucked under. So just draw your belly button into your spine, and that will help you have the neutral spine. You want to pull your shoulder blades down and back, and that's going to open up your chest and have that space between the tops of your shoulders and the bottoms of your ear versus being like this. Okay, so that's our main starting position there. With the band, start with this one. You want to mount it a little bit above your head or a little ways above your head. There's not like a certain rule, but just mount it above your head. And the goal is to have resistance so that you do feel resistance for most of the range of motion if possible, while still being able to pull your hand all the way down to your hip. So how far you are from the band, how strong the resistance band is, and how high above it is you or not will all play a role in that. And so you're just gonna have to play with it. So I'll show you just a couple things. One is that you can, these are the TheraBands, and I think they work best for our strength level. And you can get different resistances, and they're really great. So you can either tie a knot on the end. You'll put them in like a door anchor. So you can tie a knot, and then you'll have a long length. And then you can just try out seeing where you should stand and how far from there you should hold it. The idea is you want your arm starting, I cannot talk today, ladies. Your arm will be mostly straight, just like kind of a slight bend in your elbow. Your body will be squared to the front, and your arm is across your body like this. So that is the starting place, and ideally you would already be feeling a little bit of tension in this position if possible. But remember, that's with the caveat that you need to be able to pull all the way down. So if you're starting here, but then you can only pull to here, you need to adjust your placement, the tension, the placement of the band. So I hope that helps a little bit. But yeah, you can tie the band like that so it's long, or with a lighter band, I put it through the door anchor so that there's half on each side. And in this case, yeah, I guess I stand in about the same place. And in this case, I can also do... Yes, well, you could possibly do that as long as it doesn't break. Okay, normally this wouldn't happen, ladies. All right, okay, well, here's a little piece. So that, it had a rip in it. Okay, so it won't normally do that, I promise. Okay, just don't do that if it has a rip in it already. It had a rip. So you have both halves through here, and then I can still pull down, but I can just barely pull down. So that would be, and this is like the lightest band, okay? And now it's also shorter, so. I'm so sorry, that is hilarious. My videographer has the sunshade for the camera lens on her head because it's really sunny right now. Okay, anyhow, so those are the two options. You could also use a loop band, but if you do, you're gonna probably need to only use the lightest one, and but that can work as well. Okay, so those are your options there. Commercial break. Hi, I'm Razel with InspirefulWomen.com. I create exercise tutorials and workouts for a specific group of women who are in their over 40s and almost 40s, like myself. I have found for myself as I get older that I needed a different type of exercise. You may be kind of feeling the same way. So what I create is slower paced exercise with not a lot of impact, chill music, and beautiful settings to inspire you. If that sounds interesting to you, just go to InspirefulWomen.com. All right, so we talked about getting into position. Let's go ahead and get ready to do the movement. So the last thing I should say is that the cue for this movement is that you want to use your core to keep you squared to the front in one plane, and only your arm is moving, or arms if you're doing it two-handed. We'll talk about that later. So only your arm is moving. Even though this is a core exercise, our core is really working basically to keep us stable and to resist movement. That's how it's working in this particular movement, really. So here we are. Our arm is across our body. The working arm, the working arm is the opposite side of where the band is. And one more thing I wanted to point out before we do the movement is that there is a difference between letting our shoulder come across our body and having our thoracic spine start twisting. So do you see that? That's what you don't want to do because it's easy. It feels like it's pulling you, so you just kind of let go. But you want to keep that chest broad, those shoulders down and back. And that shoulder is going to be down a bit, okay? So this shoulder is what's called protracted. So this would be like if I actually like completely retracted my shoulder blade. So protracted's okay. That's a normal starting position. But here's what you don't want to do. So now my spine has just moved, okay? So spine squared to the front, only the actual little shoulder spot here is protracted. I hope that didn't overwhelm you guys. Okay. So the band should be in line with the hand. So I'm going to actually step back a little bit here. So the band comes directly out in a straight line and should be in a straight line with your hand. So it's not your body in a straight line and then this is sticking out. It's that your front of your arm here is in line with the band. Okay. So there we are in position. Honestly, getting into position is the hard part. So all we have to do from there to do the movement is pull our arm down basically. Keep your arm mostly straight and you're going to pull down diagonally to your side. Your grip can either be, as you see me here, this is kind of like a neutral grip position where my knuckles are kind of facing out. Or you can do what's called a supinated grip where now my palm is more facing up. And either way, the movement's the same. You're just going to pull your arm to your side, to your opposite hip there, like this. Okay? So that way or this way. You can play with the grips and see what feels more comfortable. So let me just do a few reps really quick and just remember, the idea is not to let your back rotate anywhere along your spine. Keep all of that straight forward. That's how your core muscles are working, and it's just the arm that's moving only. I'll show you with the supinated grip now. Remember to keep the arm mostly straight. What that means is when you're doing that is that the front of your hand will be pretty far away from your torso during that. Don't like bend your arm and have it close to your torso. The whole point is that the core muscles are working more because the arm is far away from the body until it gets to your hip. Woo! Alrighty. Thanks for being with me today, ladies. Once again, I'm Razel. If you enjoyed what you saw today, if you want to also learn more details, what to avoid, different variations for the movement, things like that, as well as full-on workouts with me, you can just go over to inspirefulwomen.com. Talk to you later.